Sergeant York, from the Official History of 82nd Division, written by divisional officers designated by the division commander. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. One exploit in this day's work will always be retold in the military tradition of our country. It is entitled to a place among the famous deeds in arms of legendary or modern warfare. Early in the attack of this battalion, the progress of G Company on the left was seriously impeded by heavy machine gun fire from a hill directly southwest across the valley from Hill 223. Although this territory was south of the zone of action assigned the 82nd Division, it was necessary to reduce this fire or suffer disastrous consequences. A force of 4 non-commissioned officers and 13 privates was sent from the left support platoon of G Company to encircle the hill and silence the enemy guns. This detachment, under Acting Sergeant Early, encircled the hill from the southeast and by a very skillful reconnaissance passed through the heavy woods on the east crest and descended to the wooded ravine on the west side of the hill. The detachment, in working through the underbrush, came upon a German battalion estimated to contain about 250 men, a considerable number of whom were machine gunners. Orders taken later from the pocket of the German battalion commander proved that the mission of this battalion was to launch a counterattack against the left flank of our attack at 10 hours 30 minutes. About 75 Germans were crowded around their battalion commander, apparently engaged in receiving final instructions. A force of machine gunners and infantrymen, however, were lying in foxholes 50 yards away on the western slope of the hill. Other machine gun detachments were located on the north and northeast slopes of this same wooded hill. The handful of Americans, led by Corporal Early, appeared as a complete surprise to this German battalion. The large body of Germans surrounding the German battalion commander began surrendering to our men, whom the enemy supposed to be the leading element of a large American force which had enveloped their position. German machine gunners on the hillside, however, quickly reversed their guns and poured a hail of bullets into the bottom of the ravine, killing 6 and wounding 3 of the American detachment. All of the non-commissioned officers were killed or seriously wounded except Corporal Alvin C. York of Pall Mall, Tennessee. With Corporal York were 7 privates, 4 of whom were mostly occupied in covering with their rifles the large group of German infantrymen who had thrown down their arms at the first surprise. A few shots were fired by the remaining 3 Americans, but the chief burden of initiative and achievement fell upon Corporal York. Crouching close to the huddle of German prisoners, he engaged in a rapid-fire action with the machine gunners and infantrymen on the hillside. The return fire struck just behind him, due to the fact that careful shooting from the hillside was necessary by the Germans to avoid injuring their own men a few feet in front of Corporal York. The American fired all the rifle ammunition clips on the front of his belt, and then 3 complete clips from his automatic pistol. In days past he had won many a turkey shoot with the rifle and pistol in the Tennessee mountains, and it is believed that he wasted no ammunition on this day. Once a lieutenant on the hillside led a counterattack of a dozen gunners and infantrymen against this extraordinary marksman, who shot the lieutenant through the stomach and killed others before the survivors took cover. German morale gave way entirely, and the battalion commander surrendered his command. Corporal York placed himself between 2 German officers at the head of the column, and distributed the 7 Americans on guard along the flanks and in rear of the hastily formed column of prisoners. On his way back over the hill, he picked up a considerable number of additional prisoners from the north and northeast slopes of the hill. When he reported at the battalion PC, Lieutenant Woods, the battalion adjutant, 2nd Battalion, 328th Infantry, counted the prisoners and found that they totaled 3 officers and 129 enlisted men. The prisoners proved to be part of the 45th Reserve Division. The 3 wounded Americans were brought in with the column. The 6 dead Americans were buried later where they had fallen. During the forenoon, Lieutenant Cox passed the scene of this fight with a portion of F Company. He estimates that approximately 20 dead Germans lay on the hillside. After the armistice, Corporal York received the personal thanks of Major General Duncan, the division commander, Major General Summerall, commanding 5th Corps, and General Pershing, the commander-in-chief. He was also given the Congressional Medal of Honor and the Croix de Guerre. End of official history of 82nd Division by divisional officers.